a Hello, everybody. Welcome to Local Marana on a Wednesday morning. We have been doing it Tuesdays lately, but we decided to move it back, mostly because the guy in the booth has got some stuff going on every now and then on Tuesdays. But we're here live on Wednesdays, and that doesn't mean we're going to deprive the people of some good traffic and weather updates.
Right.
So, David, what you got back there in traffic and weather?
Well, this morning, thank you for allowing me to chime in here. We do have an accident this morning. It's an unknown injury at Greer and Sandario. Other than that, everything is looking good. The weather it's getting a little spicy, guys. So if you're looking to do some swimming this weekend, it's a good time to do it. You know, you're looking at about 100 degrees on Saturday. So I kind of want to highlight the potential for a triple-digit day.
Oh, man. Now, do we know, does it get triple digits in Marana before it does downtown in Tucson?
That'd be a good question.
Because we should do some sort of contest on like triple digits. Whichever one of our callers or people that hop in the feed have the closest date and time.
Stephanie, the weather lady. Where's Stephanie, the meteorologist?
Oh, yeah, exactly.
Come on, Stephanie, reach out.
They need to, whoever gets closest to when we hit that 100 degrees, maybe gets a little prize. You know, we've got a lot of different options now with subscriber perks and some stuff we're working on. So that's a good one. So, Clint, how was your weekend?
Hey, it was fantastic. It was quick, but it was fantastic with a little extra time off. You know, speaking of the weather, when I leave here a lot, it'll be 100. But by the time I get home, because I'm just a little higher elevation by the time I get home.
Oh, yeah.
And you probably noticed that, too.
Yeah.
You live in Oro Valley as well. It'd be 3-4 degrees cooler, which, like, owning that. That is good.
You know where I would feel it the most was used to live Midtown, and then I would go to work in Oro Valley. And whenever I was at that, like, river in Oracle, and you're driving up
little hill
to Oracle and Ina, that hill, like you feel the temperature drop if you have the windows open. It just kind of cools off by a few degrees, and all related to that elevation. So I always appreciated that.
I noticed the same in reversal at times when we jump on 10 to go home on Twin Peaks. You hit the exit right there at Cotero because it's kind of open. There's a little bit of breeze, and it will spike right in there. So I think that's maybe the hot spot of Marana. No, it was a great weekend.
Good.
Had a little time off. Did a little road trip up to Phoenix Friday with my bride.
Right.
We did the 103rd District Assembly for the Church of the Nazarene, which is really cool.
Nice, very well attended.
Very well attended. Yeah, a lot of people from OVC in there. Then Saturday was a quick day. We did a couple graduation parties in the afternoon. Shout out to Gavin Pruitt.
Oh,
my
all
dude.
Right.
He graduated.
You know, a lot of people are hitting you and Tammy up for graduation envelopes. I saw your stack of envelopes there. Is like, oh, just so
what are you doing?
know.
I'm filling out another envelope.
Yeah, getting your stack of 50s to
had to make a second trip to the bank, actually.
But that's that's cool. They know you guys for your philanthropy and everything that you're doing.
Yeah, and
in the
these
community.
kids like Gavin, I've known Gavin for 12, 13, 14 years. I think he was just starting school when I met him. And we'll circle back to him because some of the things we want to discuss a little later in the conversation. But, so when you see these kids grow up and start spreading their wings a little bit, that's kind of cool. You know?
Right. You know, one thing that I noticed that happened this weekend was David was getting roasted a little bit on the internets, on the interwebs and the social medias.
Come on.
There was a, if we had a clip of what was happening, if you guys, to reset it, if anybody saw last week's show, which we know a lot of you did because there was a lot of roasting happening, that David was talking about air fryers, and he was trying to ask people a question as to what you do to get the items out of the air fryer after you fried them. And it was just a simple question. I think it was honest. It was just looking for some feedback, and he got a little feedback. So would you happen to have that clip, David? Because I would love to rehash this.
I unfortunately do. Do you want me to put it in the feed? real quick?
Yeah, we
All
want to see that.
Go ahead and roll the clip.
All right, fine, man. Dang.
Fine.
Professional question. When you air fry French fries, how do you get them out of the air fryer?
What do you mean?
When you air fry French fries, how do you get them out of the air fryer?
Don't you have them one of them little paper baskets?
You just go in there and grab the paper?
Yeah.
Like, even though it's hot?
It's not hot.
The metal's hot. Why is everybody hand jamming everything? What do you do, Scott?
As a person that's never used an air fryer, I can't really chime in on this one. But
hey, they're pretty awesome.
Do you need an air fryer?
Firefighters are impervious to flame. So we just go right in there and just grab things.
So
and
are
just pull them
bakers.
out, and it works out fine.
Common in Scott.
Okay, well, I've been dealing with a personal issue with this question.
Yeah. Don't you use a little?
I do, but the whole outside of the air fryer is blazing hot.
No, it's not.
It is horribly hot. It's 400 degrees hot.
The outside.
400.
Okay, that's enough of that.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. Well, it was a legitimate,
Yeah.
innocent question. And like I had stated, I did not have any history with an air fryer, but I think, bakers and firefighters, I think they just go in and grab things.
I still don't know why I got called soft on that. Like, one of the comments is like, "This dude is so soft.
Come on,
Come on,
David.
man." Yeah,
Toughen up.
I'm still trying to figure that one. And there was some comments we had to delete because they just used profanity. I mean, so it was just an interesting.
Just a simple.
But it actually got thousands and thousands of views, and it was like, obviously this conversation had to take place because people aren't addressing it. I think it's a real social issue that we're dealing with here.
Yeah, it's an unmet need. I did have a favorite comment out of all those where somebody chimed in and they said, "I bet you this guy reads all the directions on the shampoo bottles before he uses
that was a good one, wasn't it?
And I was like, okay,
Do you do that,
that's
David?
the best one.
Just out of curiosity?
Oh,
Read the shampoo
dude,
directions?
I'm bald.
No, yeah.
Oh, you're
that's true. Yeah.
That's a good point.
If I was using, like, real talk, if I'm using shampoo, I'm in like a really bad stage of denial.
You're just trying to get what you can
Yeah.
washed, and maybe let it grow out for a little while.
Yeah.
And
I've seen him when he hasn't shaved it off, a little bit.
How's it look?
Yeah, he's got a little there.
yeah, there's still some there.
Yeah.
Okay.
Hey, you
And it
mentioned
actually looks like somebody came down and attempted to put a sign in a cornfield and just did like a couple patches. No organization
here,
at all.
couple
That's
there.
what it looks like. So I'm just, if you're wondering and you're curious,
Had some aliens swoop in and just drop some hieroglyphics on the top of that dome.
yeah.
You mentioned the firefighters and the bakers and the hands and all that. I remember a few years ago we were doing a Christmas party catering, and the lady was picking it up, and everything had just come out of the oven. So we're talking pretty hot. Mm-hmm. And I touched it a little bit, and I went, "Oh, that's pretty hot." Just to warn her. And you know what she did? She touched it. And burned herself. She goes, "And I'm sensitive." I'm like, "You just had to touch it, didn't you?"
Yeah.
I thought, now, isn't that human nature, though?
Yeah.
Oh, that's hot.
Don't touch it. It's hot. And it's like,
Yeah. Hey, if I say it's hot,
yeah.
like if you say it's hot,
Just
it's
trust
hot.
it.
Trust me.
You're a baker.
Yeah.
Just trust
me.
it.
You're a fireman. Trust me.
Yeah.
But she touched it, and I mean, she
Yep.
You just had to touch that, didn't you? Come on.
It's that old curiosity.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah. Thank you, David. I just had a flashback to that poor
Yeah.
lady. She goes, "And I'm sensitive too." I'm like,
well, then don't touch
"Yeah, I warned you."
it. Okay. So we have graduations, and you know that there's a lot of people
Yeah.
graduating because you're having to hand out 50s
Yeah.
to everybody in the town.
I saw our
that's-
buddy
that's
Connor last night. I'm
graduating.
like, "This graduation's costing me a fortune. I got nobody graduating."
Yeah. So what? So I'm curious. It's been a little while since you graduated high school.
Yeah.
But when you were 18 and you were looking to graduate high school, kind of where were you at in your life, and what was your life plan?
Yeah. I'm glad we're going down. 48 years ago, I graduated.
Okay.
So to put that in perspective, I graduated high school in 1976, and I graduated on a Friday. We had a big blowout party, of course, And the following Saturday morning, I was in Fort Jackson, South Carolina, being reminded on the hour that my mother was no longer there. And I'm
the
doing
day after your graduation
the following
party?
Saturday.
Okay.
Saturday. So I graduate on a Friday night. I have a week off, and the following Saturday, so 8 days after graduation, I'm in Fort Jackson, South Carolina, with the Illinois National Guard. I did 4 months of basic training nonstop because dummy me, I was in the infantry. I didn't check my MOS, but I did 4 months in Fort Jackson and between there and Fort Benning, Georgia, which was a great experience. And looking back at it, because when we were talking about this yesterday, I would do that again.
Yeah.
That
was the right call.
That was
for
the
you
right
at the
call
time.
at the right time. A kid growing up in the Midwest, thought I was an athlete, wasn't. Made good grades, but But at the end of the day, that was a great experience. I came back and then started college that fall, but to really answer your question, it kind of worked the way I was plotting it, even though I didn't have a clue of what I was doing, because I hadn't thought about this in a long time. So when I moved to Charleston, Illinois I started college at Eastern in the spring semester of '77. I got a job working at a Holiday Inn, and I lived on property, which was really cool. I lived in room 107. I was on call 24/7.
Oh.
I paid $5 a day, so I'd be equivalent of $50 a day. But think about it.
Did you get food on that too?
Well, I was they hired me as the food and beverage director, so I had keys to everything. I might run a rollaway bed and then stop by and make myself a Reuben sandwich on the way back to the room.
Nice.
Yeah, so that was part of the perks, and then started at that time then working for the company that owned it, Triple T Corporation. And as a 19, 20-year-old, I was on a private jet a lot on the weekends, flying from property to property, like putting out fires and stuff. So
you got a lot of responsibility.
Yeah,
early.
and so when we talked about this, I think that military, what's the word I'm looking for? The mental capacity,
kind of the
structure, the hardcore. I hadn't even really thought about that because that's been close to 50 years ago until we started talking about it. And I'm like, actually, it's almost when you look back that long ago, it's almost like you're watching someone else's story.
Yeah, it's like,
and you're like, how did I feel about that? And of course, I was not happy being, like I said, screamed and hollered at and cursed at, and woke up at 3 o'clock in the morning and marched all over and ran. But I was in the best shape of my life, physically and mentally. I'd say mentally, maybe by the time I was 60. But to answer your question, no, I'm seriously. Just one year I went on the 2,500-mile walk when I turned 60.
Oh yeah, I remember.
And somebody said, "I bet that's really making you feel healthy and strong," and it did. But my head was. I would definitely recommend that to anybody if you want to clear your brain out. And a lot of times, I'd walk up and down Ina. People would see me all over. When it was hot, I'd walk in the banquet room. It's 110. I'm not crazy. I can do circles in there pretty good. But a lot of times, I was listening to music, or I wasn't. I was maybe listening to The Beach or something, or Zig Ziglar or something. So,
but that blood was circulating.
Yeah, the blood was circulating, and I was just thinking and getting in my own head. And so, but back to your original question. Yeah, I'd say I didn't know we'd be here, but I kind of knew we'd be here because I always thought, and people would tell me, you'll probably be in some form of radio or TV or entertainment. And so when we started building this a few years ago, I'm like, yeah, this is something I've been kind of like plotting for
your whole
40
life.
years without really. It's crazy, and I think you could attest to this. You get something in your head, as subconscious as it may be, and I say it a lot to David, it may not look like what you thought it was going to look like when you first hatched that dream.
Yeah.
But if you hang on to that, and that's kind of your North Star,
yeah,
it's kind of like you're going on a trip. You get the map out, and we don't do that much anymore. We just plug it in. But in the good old days, you got a map, and you'd put the ruler out, and you'd go, I'm going to go through here, and I'm going to do that's kind of like life, isn't it?
Yeah, I think it's one of those. If you have something in your head and it's regardless of what you're doing, it just sticks with you.
Yeah.
Like it never really goes away. Like that's how music was for me. Even though I got a real job early on, I was doing a lot of music before I got into the fire service, but the music never went away. Whether it just evolved, it started to take different shapes. And okay, now I'll write some commercial jingles, or now I will back up this other gentleman. I'll write some songs for a more professional musician, but it never goes away.
No.
You know, you're in the right. You know, you're in the right stream, I guess, so to speak.
So if I were to give any advice to any graduating seniors, be it college or at any level in your life, you know, look at what you're good at. Think about things you enjoy, and I can almost assure you can find a way to make a living at something in that field or genre.
You really can, right?
Yeah.
And that, you know, what I really appreciate about you and David here is, as I was looking for the next chapter for my life, after doing 24 years in the fire service, it was like, well, I was at that crossroads, right? You're either going to go all in and be in that industry the rest of your life, or you're going to reinvent yourself, because I still got 20, 30 years of working, and I actually love working.
Yeah.
So how can I do that in an industry that I love? And lo and behold, here we are today. We're making commercials. We're doing,
and you get to write your own script, which is cool.
Right?
I mean, within some loose parameters. I mean,
Yeah.
But you know, when I moved to Tucson, or in this case, I actually moved to Oro Valley, but the Tucson area, and this was in late '02. Life was good. I'd sold a business, made some money. I was probably about your age, roughly, now that you are, mid 40s. I mean, I'm not going to retire. Well, I mean,
Yeah, exactly.
Sorry, are you kidding? Well, I don't play golf. I mean, what do you want me to do?
Yeah.
And I remember thinking at that time, I love baseball. Mm-hmm. What can I do baseball related, or in that field?
Yeah.
And I started selling a product. A few people in this area will remember this, and it was called the Swing Away. Do you remember the Swing Away? It was a great hitting tool that was created by a guy named Larry Kripe, who was an airline pilot that had never quite given up on his dream of being
he always had that
professional athlete. He played minor league baseball, but it introduced me. The Swing Away, as great a product as it was, I learned a lot of lessons about what not to do in business. Not from my end, but from their side.
Sure.
But it opened the door to some of the longest running friendships I have over the last 2 decades. Edgar Soto being one of them, a gentleman we're helping in his campaign for Supervisor 3, one of my best friends of all time, Rick Peralt. We mentioned off camera earlier about meeting Jerry Reinsdorf and working with the White Sox. That opened that whole door.
Right.
And I remember thinking when I came here, baseball has always been the constant in my life. So if I could do something with baseball, how cool would that be? And lo and behold, here we are again, 20 plus years later, and I still have the benefit of having that experience.
Yeah, exactly.
Not only with the material stuff, but with the personalities that I met, which was really cool.
Right. And the first time we even kind of connected,
It was over baseball
related.
It really kind of was.
Yeah.
It just to refresh people's mind. I've said this a couple times, but I was on still am, and he still is, but I'm on the production team at OVCN. I'm upstairs in the tower, and Scott's the new guy on my left, stage right, and I'm like, who's the new dude? That's Scott, Fireman Robb. You know, I'm like, that's cool. Guy can sing, play, but we talked about baseball a couple of times.
Yep.
And right here at this table, a year and 12, 14 months ago, our friendship took a new level.
Yeah.
It did, didn't it? Like on the
definitely.
spot. I mean, we were in reverse seats, but
Yep.
it changed right then. I remember going, I got something else here that I need to
Oh, yeah.
probably pursue.
And then me coming in here too and checking out the whole studio and going like, there's something really special.
That was
happening
really
here.
cool.
This is in an industry where I could really contribute.
Yeah.
And here we are now. What we've got? Two commercials in the can. We got 3 more coming.
Yeah.
We've just got
High quality stuff too. Not just, we didn't throw this together. This was your buddy and Sean, who again you've known your whole life. These are relational.
Another Cubs fan.
Yeah, another Cubs fan. Go Cubs.
Yeah, so I think that's a great point. Is when we're talking about relating it back to graduating, we got Marana Mountain View and all the kids graduating there.
CDL.
The Marana Tigers, the Nighthawks, everybody in this region starting to look at, okay, what's the next chapter? Because it's such a benchmark, right? When you're in high school, you're just like, all you're looking at is when do I get out of here?
Yeah.
And how do I? And then once you hit that and this whole world opens up, I think you can also be kind of overwhelmed by it, because a lot of people have opportunities to go right into school and do their career or their passion, but you don't know when you're 18. And so you were a lot like my daughter, because she was the same way. There were only 2 people in her graduating class that hopped into the military. Yeah. She was in a suburb in Denver. They hopped right into the military, and now she's 3 years in. She's got a trade.
Yeah.
In 2 years, she can hop out, and the trade industry is prime for a takeover. And maybe after this break, we dive into that a little more, and the opportunities that are out there after we pay the bills. So we will be right back with you after word from our sponsors.
Discover the power of 88 Crime, where your anonymous tips are rewarded with cash. When you call in anonymously with the tip, you are given a code. With the code and a password, you can walk into a bank and redeem your reward anonymously. If your anonymous tip results in a felony arrest, you can claim up to $2,500 cash reward. Let's stop the silence on crime and strive for a safer community. For more information, please visit 88crime.org or call 88crime.
Copper Creek Cookies, Copper Creek Cookies, CopperCreekCookies.net. We can print anything on our soft vanilla logo cookies. We deliver them and other sweet treats locally. We are located at 4249 West Ina Road, Suite 121. Call us 520-300-1131. We bake smiles. Copper Creek Cookies, Copper Creek Cookies, CopperCreekCookies.net.
Are you looking to establish a powerful online presence for your brand? Look no further than Live the Dream Media. Our team of experts possess the capabilities and skills necessary to make it happen. From creating compelling content to analyzing data and making strategic decisions, we've got it covered. Don't let a lack of social media know-how hold you back. Visit ltdmedia.net for more information.
Hi, I'm Alan Murdoch. For the past 20 years, I've been buying, fixing, and selling properties right here in Southern Arizona. And I want to buy your property. Whether it's a house, apartment, commercial building, or vacant land, regardless of the condition or the situation, I want to talk to you. When you sell to me, I pay cash and it's hassle-free. No repairs, no closing costs, and no commissions. If you have a property you don't want to deal with and you want a quick solution, call, text, or visit selltoalan.com. Again, that's selltoalan.com.
Hi, I'm Melissa Zuppi, running for the Marana Town Council. As a resident of Marana, I've witnessed the positive growth that has created a strong community where people in all stages of life want to live. Unfortunately, with growth comes traffic. One of my top priorities and goals is to work towards securing funding for the improvement of Marana's high-traffic I-10 interchanges and local roadways. Let's keep Marana moving forward together. Vote Melissa Zuppi, Marana Town Council.
Hello, everybody, and welcome back to Marana Live.
Woohoo, go Zuppi.
On a Wednesday. That was Melissa Zuppi running for Marana Town Council. Yeah. And I think she's got a good shot.
I do too.
This year. I think she's got
great
a lot
lady.
Of great
We
ideas.
really like her.
Yeah.
We really like her. I want to, real quick, before we jump into some other stuff here, I want to give a shout out to my mother.
Oh,
because she,
Mama Clint.
Yeah, I'm sitting here and basking in all my memories, but she was the driving force behind making that happen. I got a good scholarship out of that, and she's the one that kind of put that together. So 16-year-old Clint was not planning all that, but I had somebody which is valuable to have someone in your corner that is thinking ahead for you and stuff. So
you know what I'm sure you are also very grateful for is your mom is still alive and functioning,
kicking it.
How old is she now?
She's 88, and she is just.
You wouldn't think so.
Yeah, no, she's kicking it. And Tammy and I've been married 33 years, so my mom was considerably younger at that time. And I'm like, don't try to keep up with her. You will embarrass yourself. You'll frustrate yourself. Just stay in sight, and be there. And
did you get a lot of your kind of hustle from your mom?
Absolutely.
Yeah. That's great to have such
she's a hustler.
Such an influence like that.
She bought. I got to brag on her just a little bit. Mother's Day just passed, so this is appropriate. She bought her first house when she was 17 years old.
Whoa.
Her father had been killed in a train wreck, and she inherited they gave her like $800 in 1953 or something was her cut of whatever it was, and she bought the house that we lived in.
Wow.
When I was born.
For that much?
Yeah. Well, they might have financed a little bit of it. My dad always referenced him. Rest his soul. He was like a great bass player. He was the rhythm section. He did all the heavy lifting behind the scenes, but my mom was always on the front making stuff happen, and she is quite an inspiration to anybody that knows her.
Yeah.
Yeah, she really is. So.
Oh, no, she was in the studio yesterday, day before.
Monday.
They were rattling some cages down at the Social Security office.
That'd be a topic for another day, but so it's great to have somebody in your corner or in my case, I've had more than I could set the next 30 minutes of this show and rattle off people that were really instrumental on in being mentors to me. I had 3 great male role models, starting with my father. My father passed away. I was working with a guy named Dick Clemens, who has since passed away. He was a great dude. And then my stepfather, George Schulte, was in my world for 15 years, and he was a great guy. So I had the Mount Rushmore of guys in my life. And my wife one day said, "You become one of them."
Right.
And I'm like, you know what? I kind of have without noticing. That I had kind of graduated into that role to be mentors for, especially young men. I'll mentor young women, but we don't have that same connection that a young guy would. And I didn't even think about it until it actually happened. And I'm like, I guess I am. But I had great role models in that, so it would be a natural evolution on my part.
Well, and a great thing to actually pay it forward.
Yeah.
Right? Because not everybody has the opportunity of having great mentors.
That's true.
And so you actually mentor a lot of people that are not family related.
Oh, absolutely.
Whether it's kids through church or other people, other acquaintances, you're kind of always there.
Yeah, it's fun. And now that I'm cognizant of that, I embrace it. I'm like, not to be pushy, not to tell him, because the old dude doesn't, that's the old guy know about. I do know this. Back to graduation.
Yeah.
We're in trouble as a society, with our trades especially. With our trades, I as preparing for this, I kind of did like a deep dive. Think about the baby boomers, which I'm on the not the back end, but pretty close. My wife is the back end of the baby boomers. Literally, like she caught it by 33 days or something. She caught 64 is the break off.
Okay.
And we're retiring so many people, especially in the trades, at such a rapid pace, and the run up to that with the what's the word I'm looking, internships and training programs, apprenticeships, 3 to 5 years. We're not going to catch up. We are about 4 million tradespeople short right now, and that's a wide sector. It's in the health department. It's in construction, it's in welding, it's in electricians, just across the board.
And not a lot of people are going into those. They're not. And that's, lesson for those high schoolers right now is hop right. You know who has a great trades program is Pima College.
Yes, they do.
Pima College has sunk a lot of time, effort, and energy into building up their trades and having auto mechanic, full auto mechanic shops. I was down there about 6 months ago, and the facilities that they've created for these trade schools is amazing.
And I've not seen it, but Edgar tells me the culinary arts down there, they have a kitchen, according to other people that are in the industry, that is the best kitchen in Pima County. Is at Pima Community College.
Oh, right.
Isn't that cool? And on top of that, all these trade, including kitchen help. I mean, it's hard. First off, it's hard work.
Yep.
But everybody wants to be an influencer and video makers and stuff.
Hey,
and
we have
those.
a lot of gender studies people that can conquer the world right now. So
That's true.
160 grand in debt.
Yeah.
Right. And once we crack the code on gender studies, then maybe we can move past that. But what we need in society more than ever are tradespeople.
Yep.
We need people that can actually do the work. And I think we're all feeling it to some degree. When you call and you just need some simple work done, like right now I'm going through
a nightmare.
A house remodel that's had all sorts of subcontractors and people in and out and insurance companies. And you really start to feel the squeeze when and on top of it, you really respect when you have a good person that shows up on time, their rates are reasonable, they do what they say they're going to do. And right now, with those three things, you could actually take over the market.
Right.
We were talking to Daniel the other day. It's basically like he's got more work than he could possibly
Daniel's
use.
in the roofing. And
because he shows up on time, he's professional,
and he's got qualified people to do the work.
Yeah.
And back to the studies that I was reading, McKinney and all this, a lot of the retirees that are coming out over the next 4, 5, 6, 10 years, say decade, 70% of those are in management. So who's going to manage this next group? So we're losing
who knows how to run the business side.
Not only that, the apprenticeship programs take, like we said earlier, 3 to 5 years. Well, if we're going to be losing 70% of our leadership in these trades over the next 10 years, and yet it takes someone 5 years just to become the rookie, we're not replacing. And that I'm on a build with on a board that I'm on, a large build. And that was one of the concerns is we got to hire a contractor that has the stable of people to do the job, and they are hurting. I was reading earlier, there's a $5 billion a year churn just in the American Trade Society right now to get people trained up. Because we can't take somebody off the street and put them in as a welder or electrician to wire
unsupervised, to just handle it. Right.
And they say that most times that the new guys or gals are the ones that have the highest risk for accident or situations.
Yeah, because it's just a lack of experience until you build that slideshow.
We haven't even mentioned money through this whole conversation of plans and plotting and how we got here. But if you want to make a lot of money right now and really be successful, I would encourage every young person, 16 to 26 right now, to be thinking about some sort of trade.
Yeah. Yeah. And you know what? I think you can still have the best of both worlds. Because let's say, everybody wants to be an influencer, a TikTok influencer. Well, know how to solve an HVAC issue, and you can influence all day long on HVAC related stuff and own that market and that industry.
Speaking of which, the air came on right on time. Did you notice that?
Good thing. Because if it shuts off, we don't know.
Well, our buddy Ron Arenas out there at Picture Rocks Heating and Cooling, he's been doing this for, I can't remember, over 20 years. And Ron's not an old guy by any means. He had to start when he was young.
Yeah.
And he does a great job, and he's all over social media. He's got a radio program on KVOI. You can, and it's not sexy, I know, to work on a car necessarily or build a building or be a welder or stuff, but the demand is so huge. My son-in-law, Derek, is just finished with his electrician apprenticeship. He's finished. I don't think that the final outcome, the final graduation's happened yet, but he's done. And he won the wire off, which means he was the rodeo winner, if you will, in his class. And of course he was.
Awesome.
But I was noticing the other day, Tammy and I drove to Phoenix. They're starting electricians now at $90,000.
Right out of the gate.
Wow.
Before overtime, before.
That's a lot of money.
Exactly.
How much did you make, David? Not to pick on the law enforcement, but how much did you, ballpark, how much did you make in law enforcement? You don't have to give me an exact number, but.
Like $28 an hour.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah.
And there's another profession that's just been decimated.
Right.
More from the, I wouldn't call that a trade per se.
But it's like a bad stigma.
Yeah.
And like you think, okay, sell somebody on going to be a police officer in today's day and age. When you've done all of this, you've laid the groundwork for everybody to just hate law enforcement and think that everyone's racist and everyone's out to just shake you down.
Yeah.
Who wants to do that? I remember even as a firefighter, when I was first doing ride-alongs to get into the fire service, you show up on scenes with police officers because you're usually at an emergency.
Right.
And the police officers would just call it straight out. Like, the difference is everybody's happy when you show up.
Yeah.
They're not happy when the police show up. They're a little nervous, or they're, unless somebody's coming at you with a knife, or there's some other issue that needs law enforcement to take care of you. How do you sell somebody in today's day and age to go through that?
Well, I know you don't do it the way TPD has done it, because that whole marketing campaign was a joke. But you know what? On the reverse, David, I just noticed the other day, I can't remember, just recently, just in the last week or so, the Phoenix Police Department has taken the opposite approach to that and are doing a really good job, at least promoting, we're looking for heroes, because the other was, we're not looking for heroes. Well, actually, we are.
Yeah.
That's actually part of the job description. I'm sorry. When you take that component out of there.
And that's the fun part, though, too. People that are called to serve and to help mankind.
Do you want to chime in here, David?
Did you see the people that were in those ads?
Yeah, it was
like none of. I don't know if any of them had ever lifted a weight or had been in any kind of physical altercation or knew how or knew anything. Right, the academy will train you and stuff on that. But you want to tell your citizens of your city that we are looking for this type of person to come protect you.
Yeah, it was
like a life and death situation. What do you want the best of, right?
Yeah.
If you're in a climbing situation and you want that best rope available, right?
Oh,
when you're facing a potential dangerous threat, or you really need action to happen now, we don't need somebody holding a laundry basket, right? And shame on you, City of Tucson, for promoting that. Yeah. You guys showed your true colors there, that you're not in here to protect your citizens. You're here to flex your DEI stuff, which is just absurd. I understand that we need diversity, but you can include diversity in real life, like, situations here, right? You can go and find people that take care of themselves and are willing to put their lives on the line. And are you going to grab the guy holding a laundry basket and say, "Hey, man, come work here. By the way, you might die today."
Yeah.
Like, or you might see somebody else who lost their life, which, Scott, you can relate to that too. But it's like, what are we doing here? And you know what? I heard some back end stuff, and I ain't afraid to talk about it because there's murmurs. People tell me stuff. It's great. Hundreds of thousands of dollars into that campaign.
Yeah.
You could have gotten paid really good officers that.
Yeah.
You could have given the people in your area working your beats out there doing their thing more money. And there's just way more positive things you could have done. But as far as my rant on that, and I told you, Clint, this, when I first saw this come out, I'm like, what is this?
Yeah.
Like, just.
That's not quite what he said, but
get people. Just get people that want to do this and that you know can do this. What are we fishing for? Yeah. Anyways, I'm done on that.
No, hey, David, next time just open up. Don't hold back.
Well, I mean, as a former law enforcement officer, I see the people I used to work with, the ones that I know are just putting their blood, sweat, and tears, and they're giving everything to it. You know, granted, where I worked isn't like that. I do not expect an ad like that to come out of the agency I worked at because over there the leadership actually has a sense of what's going on.
Dude, let me tell you. I remember going on when active shooter training was just starting to ramp up because you had all of these school shootings and all these different things that were creating chaos, and we wanted to figure out how to make medics and police officers and everybody work more efficiently so you can get in there eliminate the threat and help as many people as possible. And so going into those active shooter drills, there is such a huge caliber difference. And I'm sorry to say it, but like I'll use as an example an ex-military, like somebody that's ex-military that becomes a police officer, and those dudes run in and like they were full speed, eliminating the threat. Like they hopped right into that building. They cleared it faster than we could even keep up, and they smoked all the bad guys like that. And then you had other folks that were just kind of like, well, I'm tired of living with my mom. I guess I'll try this. And they were going in there and doing the best they could, but they weren't a good mental fit for a job like that. So they were terrified and they were timid, and it was taking forever. And when time is of the essence and people are dying, who do you want in there? You want the best of the best. You want people that are, people that are just all out, ready to put their lives on the line. And that's, what's made our society so great is you have people willing to sacrifice. And we have to bring back the fact that that's actually valiant.
Yeah. You need the sheepdogs.
Exactly.
Right? I don't know where we lost focus on and finding those sheepdogs. There's a part of people that, you want to serve and it's a calling, but there's just some people that are protective of others. Like it's in their DNA. It's in their It's in their just like their build, and it's in their wiring, and it maybe from helping raise siblings and stuff like that. But it's like you got to go after those people. I mean, that's the only. And they're out there, but like you said, Scott, the environment that has been created by legacy media, shame on them. They just can't get anything right. But it's crazy to me. So when I get passionate about it because, like I said,
you spent 11 years in that world. Like you say, you were surrounded by people, men and women that were blood, sweat, and tears. To protect and serve. I mean, that was your calling. You mentioned the military. Part of the reason why and this was something that I was thinking about last night because of our conversation. We were thinking, this guy's a rock star. The guy in that other room is rock stars. I want you guys to know that. I'll dig more into that. But when you're in the military, at least when I was in the mid-'70s, it was live fire. I mean, we weren't playing with dummy rounds. I remember crawling under a barbed wire fence, and they were shooting over the top of our heads. You could see the tracer, and you were warned ahead of time, don't stand up under any circumstance.
You will die.
You will die. You're shooting really M72 laws. You're blowing stuff up. You're jumping off of towers. You're riding on a guide wire. People got hurt.
Hey, going back to the trade stuff. Let's jump back to. I just wanted to pull some. I had something here pulled up before we got into the law enforcement talk here, but Dan Streeter, who is the superintendent of the Marana Unified School District, had shared on a podcast a couple months ago that they were building a new high school to cover what's going on in the workforce. Actually, he was on Ed Honey, Mayor Ed Honey's podcast. Right. And the innovative school will primarily offer career and technical education programs, which includes automotive and culinary arts and stuff like that. So you guys talked that. I just want to plug in this local nexus of what the Marana Unified School District is doing to accommodate this. You're looking at 400 students will attend.
That's awesome.
School. So I thought that was pretty cool.
And what was that building?
Yeah, it is. It's going to be at the former urgent care office, Silverbell.
But they're teaching. What are they teaching? I didn't hear you.
You're going to be looking at like automotive, business management, law, culinary arts, engineering, sports medicine, stuff like that. Information.
We got a young guy in the studio audience. Are we still doing building trades, building classes in high school? Because when I was in high school, there was a group. I was not a part of that group. I was more into the business side of this, but they built houses. I mean, they went out. I'm sure they worked with a general contractor, but I remember in Western Gardens of Mount Vernon, Illinois, they'd load these guys up on a bus, and it was all guys at that time. I don't remember any young ladies being involved, and they went and built houses.
Awesome.
During the course of the day, and I know a few of those guys graduated from high school and started little construction companies. Repair homes, and the next thing you know, they've got Lips Construction, and they're building houses and buildings, and they couldn't have been more than I don't know, mid-20s when they had their own construction companies. And, they were doing well, building neighborhoods and stuff or city buildings.
Yep, and that's what we're seeing that we need. And I would argue that, I know you kind of mentioned it's not sexy work or it's not, but as we get farther and farther removed from what it means to be alive and like the work and the meditative qualities of putting your hands on things and being a fixer and the sense of accomplishment when you build and you fix things, I think is underrated right now because everybody's spending so much time on a screen disconnected with reality that people can find a lot of that very therapeutic and
I think we're stealing from people, Scott, when we take that out of society, because at the end of a long, hard day that you put in and you busted it, is there not a I hate to use the word pride, but there's
there is a sense of pride,
Hey, speaking of this, I just read this last night, and this just kind of like blows me away. This is a survey of Gen X workers, survey of 1,000 kids between the ages of 18 and 25, and it found that 74% perceived a stigma associated with choosing vocational school over traditional four-year university, and an overwhelming 79% of the respondents said their parents wanted them to pursue a college education after high school, and only 5% encouraged them to go to vocational schools. So what's the matter with these parents?
Well, I think they don't
Have they drank the Kool-Aid so long that they don't?
They're sold on the dream.
Yeah,
I mean, that's when I read that, I'm like,
but dude, so if you think about it for a second, and we're obviously I'm deep into this right now because my son is graduating high school.
You're right there,
and we're talking about the cost of school and all of that, and really did pull it up. It's going to be $100,000 for you to just go to a state university and get your education. $100,000. And so for those that don't know, on 6% interest over the course of 10 years, you're paying $1,100 a month to get that back. Yeah. Now, what are you getting for that? Well, I think what we've lost sight of is, there was a period in time where that 4-year degree kind of set your earning potential higher than other people. But that time is gone, man, because not only do you have ChatGPT is writing all these kids' papers, but on top of it, ChatGPT is grading the papers for the. So it's like the robots are grading the robots at this point, and you're just a pass-through entity that's getting in debt for the opportunity to do this. So now you got this extra $1,100 a month payment. Yeah. You've got no skills that you've actually learned
that are marketable. You can't market that.
Because you had your robot get graded by the other robot that's grading your papers, and nobody has learned a dang thing. And now what are you going to do? Yeah. What you're going to do is have to figure out how to get a trade or find something useful to actually contribute to society.
I grew up it was a black and white world. So when you see Andy Griffin, that's really what the world looked like. Okay. But a lot of, I'm thinking back even in grade school, there was, I didn't know I don't think they had it labeled, but there was critical thinking. They push kids even in 3rd, 4th, 5th grade outside the box. I look at 3rd and 4th,
problems.
To solve problems on your own that we're not even gonna. Again, I grew up in an era that was pretty sweet, and I'm thinking about some of these people, and I haven't thought about them in years. Miss Wilson, Mr. Wicks, Bill Lathrop, and people like that. These guys, these men and women, were legit teachers. I'm not implying that we don't have legit teachers now, but these people loved kids. They were an extension to our family. They were our parents when our parents sent us to school, right? Mm-hmm. There was a lot of conversations. I've told this story before. When I was a kid growing up, I grew up actually in Opdyke, Illinois, population 200. When they would have a PTA meeting, which they did regularly, you know how many people attended the PTA meeting?
A lot of
200.
Yeah.
Everybody was there. Everybody was.
They were invested.
They were invested in their kids or grandkids, or it was just the public thing you did in a small town. Flash forward, 30-something years, my kids started school in in Phoenix. There's 900 kids in the school. I'm saying to Tammy, we got to get there early. This place is going to be packed. There were 7 people in the room. Tammy and I being 2, a couple of teachers, and maybe the PTA leader. And I think it was called PTO in that particular case, but I'm like, are you kidding? I looked at my wife, because actually my son had been in a charter school that I worked at for a couple of years. And I looked at her when we sat down, and I'm like, we got to move.
Yeah,
we got to move right now, because this new neighborhood that was brand new when we moved in there, you could see it was just falling, and that must have been 2000, because by 2002 we had moved to Oro Valley. And the reason we moved, other than my mom kind of insisting we come this way, we checked all the schools in the state in a program. I think at that time it was called goodschools.net or something, and they were here. The Marana and Amphitheater school districts were some of the highest rated, maybe the highest rated public schools in the state. And we're like, well, that makes the decision a little bit easier, because we can do the charter, or we can do private, or we can go where great schools are. I don't want to bang on it too hard, but if that's our best, we still got a long way to go.
Yes.
I'm sorry.
Yes, well, and
I know there's some great people in line. Dan Streeter over there, Dr. Streeter's doing a great job, but and he's in Marana, so I can't speak to that because my kids didn't go there. But yeah,
well, and that's where we're
always
we try to advocate on this show, because we are Marana, and we care about this surrounding community, that good people get involved. Yeah, and be the ones that are actually paying attention to this stuff and making differences, and being the ones that are on councils that are putting recruitment packages together for law enforcement that makes sense and gets the best people for the job. And all of that happens through government, unfortunately. So we better get the right elected officials in there if you want to see it driven where it needs to go.
Have any of your friends, because I know with mine have too, friends, acquaintances, have they asked you why we do a lot of political stuff around here? Has anybody approached you with that?
And that's why.
And there's your answer.
Because people that are making these decisions need to be aligned with the overall mission of the actual residents that live here.
Because again, as Warren Buffett always says, a rising tide raises all craft.
Yeah.
And that's what we want. We want everything, because is it not better for you? Is it not better for me if everybody around me is better educated, has good jobs, or happier? I win.
Oh man, if you're the dumbest in the room, you're in a great room.
I'm guilty of that all the time. I aspire to that. I want to be the weakest link in my chain, and I have no problem achieving that. I've quoted this before. The movie guy, the director and producer, etc., Quentin Tarantino. He said he was hanging out with a bunch of folks, and there was his buddies, and they were all nice people, nice guys, nice chickies, but they weren't going anywhere.
Yeah.
They just weren't going anywhere. He liked them. They were great people. And he goes, I was the best of the bunch, but nobody was going anywhere.
Yeah.
He goes, I need to get where the action is. I need to go where things are happening.
Well, and great when you can recognize that.
Exactly.
Because a lot of people
and he was a young dude at that time.
And you get comfortable and say, oh, well, I like being the smartest in my circle.
Yeah, look at me. And so he says he gets to basically L.A. He grew up in California, but he wasn't in where the movies were. And he goes, then I was the weakest link in my chain. Everybody around me was doing more and being more successful. He goes, but you know what? My times got better.
Oh, yeah.
My personal times were better than they had ever been. Even though now I'm at the back of the pack, I'm still a better person because I'm keeping up with sports, with any game that I ever played. I wanted to play against somebody better than me. So if I can take you out, then where does that make me? Any kind of, especially board games and stuff like that, I wanted to play with like the
Scott.
champ.
Yes,
sir. Before the show, we were talking about these really fantastic, exceptional classes that some of the colleges in the United States offer for
I'm glad you brought that
educating
up.
our youth and getting them ready for the workforce. And to potentially just fail at life. So if you want to go ahead and cover those, talk about some of those things you were sharing with us.
No, so for $100,000 a year, here's what you can get.
So remember, for $100,000 a year, you're going to be in debt for $1,100 a month. for 10 years because you have to pay interest on those loans. And so as somebody that has a high school graduate here in the next week, I wanted to see, well, what kind of classes are they offering here? So I did have a nice little list that I wanted to close out with something positive. So for those that are like, nah, trade schools are not for me, I want a 4-year university. I'm going to put my kid through this process. Here's some of the great things that you can get. So number one, the Michigan State offers a class in surviving the zombie apocalypse. That sounds like a good one because, I mean, zombie apocalypses are real.
Yeah.
If you go to downtown Tucson, there's kind of a zombie apocalypse happening with fentanyl.
Shots fired again. Man.
So it might actually be a useful class for you to be able to travel to downtowns. Alfred University, now these are all accredited universities that have been able to track this down, has a class called Maple Syrup, the Real Thing. So that you don't get hit by an imposter and get the maple syrup that you're like, nah, this is corn syrup, man. This isn't maple syrup. Duke University has a class on how to watch the series The O.C.
Oh, stop.
So now Duke is not $100,000. No. Duke's probably $500,000 for that education, and you can pay for your child to learn how to watch a series called Orange County.
You know, my sister has one of her many degrees from Duke, but it's not syrup watching or no. She didn't take
how to watch the OC. So Caltech. Now we're like, a technical institute.
What we got?
Caltech's got you covered with the amazing world of bubbles. Bubbles.
Can you say that again?
The amazing world of bubbles. Now they're luring you into it, right? Because you're like, well, bubbles don't seem that great, but no, they're amazing.
They're amazing bubbles,
and I'm going to teach you over the course of an entire semester.
Hey, say it one more time.
The amazing world of bubbles.
Thank you. Just wanted to make sure I was hearing bubbles.
Bubbles.
Now let's say you're a Midwesterner. Clint, you're a Midwestern guy. So University of Wisconsin-Madison, they have a Lord of the Rings class. Now it recently got taken out though because I think it got canceled or something. Yeah. But they had a class on how to watch the Lord of the Rings. So you have these classes on how to watch TV and what it should mean to you. And what that does is that prepares you for all the news they're going to give you.
Oh yeah.
Because whenever they're going to give you news, they're going to say what this means to you. Because they don't want you to think for yourselves. Yeah. So I thought that was a great class. More watching TV studies. Ooh, this is a good one. Daneville, Kentucky can give you the art of walking class.
Oh.
So you're 18, you're 19, you're stumbling all over yourself. You don't know what's going on or why you even exist. How about take a class on how to walk?
How to walk.
That would be a good one.
You know what? I should teach one like that. I got 2,500 miles under my belt one year. We'll discuss. What'd they charge for that one?
Oh well, I mean, we're just going with that $100,000 debt barrier.
Yeah,
throw it on the tab. Throw it on the tab.
I only need like 10.
But let's say you're an Ivy League guy. You look more like an Ivy League guy.
Yeah, that's me.
So let's hop over to Princeton for a class on getting dressed.
Okay, that makes sense.
How to get dressed?
Yes, because we need people to wear clothes.
Yeah, that is true. You can't be like not wearing clothes when you're rioting and burning your own university down.
Yeah, there's not a lot of good things to get done in the nude.
Yeah.
Right? There's probably just a couple things.
You know, California and San Francisco, they've got a rule that, you can be naked in San Francisco. You've just got to put something down anywhere you sit. So there has to be some sort of towel or rag
so that your
or
butt cheeks
shanty
aren't directly on the
there.
seat.
So I'm like, is that a class, by the way? How to cover butt cheeks?
Can I start charging my children? Because I've been teaching them this for the last couple of weeks. You know what I mean?
Exactly. I got 2 more great classes for you before we close it out. This one was particularly interesting, called The Unbearable Whiteness of Barbie. That's a class you can take.
Yeah.
So, well, first off, if a class title starts with unbearable, you already know you're not there to actually dissect any objectivity, because we're already saying how unbearable it is. But then to say an actual ethnicity is unbearable and teach it over the course of a semester is quite something. You know, that's a good use of that cash that you're putting in there.
Yeah.
Now, I try to work on my unbearable whiteness by getting out into the pool more often because it is pretty unbearable in the early winter, but it gets better.
Yeah,
it gets better. So, you know, I think I would have something to offer as a guest instructor. For
there's
class.
a fallacy with that. My sister Glenna has an enormous Barbie collection. Enormous. Like the biggest personal collection you've ever seen.
Wow. Like to the point of creepy?
Oh, yeah, she's got like a whole room. But there are many Barbies of color in there.
Oh, yeah.
So,
well,
but are we going to ignore them? Is that what we're doing there?
Well,
who's teaching that?
Either way,
who's offering that?
It's called Occidental College, and it is an accredited university. I looked it up.
Well, they got
because
they're a little bit flawed.
Yeah, you can learn about Barbie's unbearable whiteness. But if you're not interested in any of these classes,
well, what do you got?
The best class that I think that you can take is my personal favorite, Learning from YouTube as an Actual College Major. Meaning you can spend $100,000 on how to look stuff up on YouTube and learn how to do it.
We got to get in on this. How do I get accredited?
Yeah.
How do we become an accredited university? I mean, I think we got some educated people here.
Oh my gosh. Hey guys, I have an idea.
Yes.
We're coming up on the last couple minutes. And one thing that I know a lot of people laughed at from one of our past episodes was, you guessed it, the unnecessary, unregulated, unsolicited censorship. So carry on chops with your conversations, and I'm going to be back here just, you know what I mean?
Well,
so,
David,
the whole time.
I appreciate that, because I'm going to tell you how I really feel about this situation with the universities. So it's one thing to, and then add all of these, and another, right, and riots and burn and all of the completely wasted. I was trying to pause for you.
Hey, you know what? Totally random. Publishers Clearinghouse. Have you heard?
Yeah.
Are you familiar with those guys?
They used to write the big old.
Yeah. The big old. Well, guess what?
Huh.
I staggered onto them last night. They're still out. You can win.
You can get the big checks.
$2.5 million or $2,500 a week for life. Right there, publisher.
Whoa!
I saw that, and I
want that.
Ed McMahon used to show right with the check this big and the balloons.
Yeah.
Well, they're back,
dude. That is amazing.
And I that's a screenshot. But if you'll read the comments, they're talking about how everybody to get one of these, right?
You know what? Let's find a way to get in on that.
Yeah,
yeah. Because I want him showing up with a big check.
We want to teach the whiteness of Barbie. No, what's the unbearable whiteness of Barbie? How to watch Lord, and now we're going to get into house.
How to walk and dress yourself.
Yeah, how to walk and dress yourself.
And if you can't do all of those, you can always just go
yourself
and go on YouTube and learn. But pay some other college $100,000 so you could go.
Yeah.
All right, we are now done with the unnecessary.
Check it out.
You guys
Check
did
it out.
great.
I've got to ring it in my ears.
And that's all we got for this week's episode.
You did good, Scott. We're gonna have to.
Thank you for having me. Great, David. Great job in the booth today. Appreciate you knocking it out of the park for us.
I'm glad your daughter let you in the house.
Yeah, that was great. We'll talk about that on another episode. But you guys did great. I only messed up a couple hundred times back here, but
hey, there's a lot going on back there.
You guys killed it. Good job.
Thank you, David. Thank you, everybody.
See you again soon.
Have a great weekend.